Welcome back. It's another Creaky Bloody Gammas battle report. Let's get on with it.
Okay, welcome to a short battle report from a 2-game friendly tournament. So I'm just trying out the Orcs again, slightly different configuration, and the FAQ just came out, so I had to up that unit to 30 Night Goblins, so they could have 3 Fanatics, and I've got another unit of 20 with 2 Fanatics. So they tried to tone down the Fanatics a little bit, which is probably a good idea. I split my arrer boys up into 3 units of 5, and I've got 3 crew on my boar chariots now. There's the Black Orcs with the war banner, so still 18 of them. There's the little unit of 20 with 2 Fanatics. There's the level 4 with battle magic, and he's got a little bodyguard there of skirmishing arrer boys. There's a couple of the chariots. The Great Keef, he's now got a bit more defensive, trollhide trousers and the talisman of protection with a great weapon. And some arrer boys out there, and the war machines up the back, 2 bolt throwers and 2 doom divers. And our first battle is up against the royal host Khemri, undead, and he's got a king on a war sphinx. So we'll have a quick look at the undead army during their turn 1 here. The Tomb Kings. Keep saying undead. Alright, so we'll have, there's the layout. We'll just have a quick look at the Tomb Kings army during turn 1. I hope the sound's okay.
2 skirmishes. It gives you a cover save, doesn't it?
Vanguard mood, a cohort, and there's a wizard in there. Yeah, wizard in there as well.
Good question.
The Necropolis Knights, have they got command? They got a standard?
Full command, yeah.
Full command. Any banners? Any magical banners? No, just a hero. The champion's got a great weapon.
Yes.
Yep. Another cohort, 10 and 10. The king. What's the king got again?
King's got flower skulls, royal mantle, and the icon of the desert sun.
Yep. Okay. The Graveguard with what's the banner? The banner of the desert winds.
They got banner of the desert winds.
Yep.
And then the Tomb Herald in there has the icon of sacred eye.
Okay. Yep. Another cohort, catapult, 3 chariots, and a scorpion in ambush.
Let's go. Turn 1.
Okay, so turn 1, and the Tomb Kings have just shuffled forward, but on his right flank, these guys have moved up quite close and in charge reach of the Great Keef. Okay, so yes, feel like that's a bit of a trap, those skeletons on that flank there. They've just shuffled forward, and we lose a couple of, a row of Night Goblins off the back of that unit there. So turn 1, the Great Keef does a charge. The crowd are shocked. Yes, the Great Keef goes in on turn 1, and he fights that skeleton horde there, that horde of archers there. My Doom Diver misfires, but he beats them up, and he does pretty well, even though this whole game I forgot about his stomp attack. Anyway, turn 2.
Turn 2.
So we go into turn 2, a bit of a summary here. So on the left flank, the Great Keef has charged in there, and he's doing okay. He wiped out 1 rank of them, and even though I forgot about my stomp attack. And now I'm thinking, well, these Necropolis Knights are going to come in here and get him on the flank. It might have been a bit of a long charge for them. I think they have Swift Stride, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's an option for him there. On this flank, I managed to remove 1 of his chariots. So I'm thinking maybe his chariot will come in here or against my chariot. But he declines that charge there on that flank. So the chariot shuffles around to his right, I think. So the chariots are there for counter-punching because they're not that fast. They can march and everything, but they don't have Swift Stride. They do have warbands, so they can re-roll their charges. Yeah, so I'm thinking the Necropolis Knights could go into the flank of the Great Keef, or I put these archers up here as a tempting target. And he decides to go after the archers, and I had to have the chariots back here for a counterpunch. So that's a summary of what's going on so far. Alright, then my little unit of 20 Night Goblins here are getting shot up, so I have to prematurely release their fanatics. One makes it across, I'm trying to get to the War Sphinx, and the other one strangles himself. Those chariots doing a bit of shooting. The Great Keith is fighting this cavalry cohort, and he's doing okay, even without stomps. I'm pretty sure I forgot my stomps as well, so he should have been doing a lot better. And then the what are they? Necropolis Knights. I was going to say Necro Serpents. They charged the arrer boys there. They fled. And so that's the situation. He's got plenty of cohorts there and the War Sphinx moving up. And one fanatic buzzing around there. And then in my turn, one of the chariots passed its fear test. And the Black Orcs went into the flank. So that's pretty much the end for the Necropolis Knights there, I think. And I got one chariot in there because of Warband. He got to re-roll his charge and he got in. So the Great Keith's going to finish off those guys. A bit of a mistake moving them up so close. And the Black Orcs got into the flank and one chariot got into the Necropolis Knights. And they're going to crumble as well. So that's pretty much the situation. So chariot into there. The Necropolis Knights are going to get pounded by Black Orcs. But the Black Orcs' rear is now exposed to the War Sphinx, etc. So we'll see what happens there. And the Great Keith's fighting on the left flank. And then I drop the camera.
Turn 3.
So we're into turn 3. His cohort's going to charge my chariot there after it finished off his couple of chariots. And he's got his Scorpion has come on over on my right flank here to try and kill some of my little arrow boy units. Yeah, so his cohort goes into my chariot. They're going to beat up that chariot. My little unit of Night Goblins, they decided to run away because there's no way they're going to fight. I think that's the Tomb Guard there, so they're not going to fight them. He's got a cohort there, lost a couple of models, I'd say, and then the Sphinx goes into the Black Orcs. He's still got his catapult back there bombing me. Yeah, so the Sphinx, he got a good long charge. Luckily, the Black Orcs passed their test not to overrun, and they were able to reform to face the Sphinx. The War Sphinx, the king on the War Sphinx. So that's the situation, all right? So a bit of a summary, and so the War Sphinx into the Black Orcs. Now, the Black Orcs are veterans and stubborn, so that's deliberate, so I can at least rely on them to hang around for a turn, or maybe fail a terror test or something. And, yeah, moment's silence for my old Black Orc champion. He always steps up and dies, so he takes the challenge from the War Sphinx. And the boys hold, even though they lost by a bit. I use the stubborn there so they don't have to test, so they can hang around for another turn. Yeah, so that cohort beats up the chariot pretty easily. I think he actually breaks the chariot and they run it down. The chariot doesn't run very far. So that's pretty much it. And then my turn, the Great Keith's going to fly over the Black Orcs. He wants to get into this area, maybe to threaten the flank of the Tomb Guard. And maybe that cohort, but he doesn't want to fight the War Sphinx. He's looking for someone else easy to beat up. And I move these Night Goblins up. They're getting bombed by the catapult as well, so that's slowing us down there. And sending a chariot around the back. And the War Sphinx and the Black Orcs are going to be duking it out for a few turns.
Turn 4.
So we're into turn 4, and this is going to be turn 4, 5, 6, because I'll give you a quick summary of what happened. Maybe I stopped recording, or maybe we called it on turn 5 or something. So the War Sphinx, the king on the War Sphinx, is going to be fighting the Black Orcs for the rest of the game. His Scorpion gets through my archers and then into my Bolt Thrower, and that little unit of Night Goblins is going to take on those skeletons in front of him, and they're actually going to beat them up. A chariot's just going to come and hold the Tomb Guard away from the Black Orcs, and the Great Keith's going to go in and finish off another cohort on his own. Yeah, so there's the Black Orcs hang on, and eventually I think we might finish off the War Sphinx. That's when we call the game. The Great Keith finishes off that cohort, and these Night Goblins, they actually defeat that cohort, and eventually we drop a bomb on the Scorpion after it's done a bit of damage and finish it off. So the key was, yeah, just that chariot holding the Tomb Guard away from the Black Orcs, so the War Sphinx was fighting on his own. Yeah, there's the mighty Night Goblins beat up a unit of skeletons. They like fighting skeletons. And yeah, I think we might have finished off the War Sphinx, and that's when we called the game. And my level 4 miscast once, he's got a wound on him. So that's pretty much it. So there's the end result. Not many of the Tomb Kings left. The Great Keith's spinning around in the middle looking for someone else to fight. This chariot held off the Tomb Guard long enough so the Black Orcs could finish off the War Sphinx. And that little Night Goblin unit, heroes, they beat up some skeletons. They like fighting skeletons, things easy to beat up. Few fanatics whizzing around, but they didn't have much effect in this game. There's probably only one left there now. They keep strangling themselves and so on. So that's the start of the battle. And the main thing was that I think he moved those that cavalry cohort up too far on his right flank, and the Great Keith got into him. He needed his wizard alive, so they should have stayed back. And the problem with undead in general is if you make a mistake, you can't flee, so you're kind of stuck there. So you have to be very careful and cautious with an army that can't flee and get yourself out of trouble. Anyway, so it was a victory to the Orcs. Interesting list. I was impressed with the War Sphinx, so I went out and got myself another one for myself. So I'll have a Necro Sphinx and a War Sphinx. So I'm just painting him up now. So I've got a 1,500 point tournament coming up in a couple of weeks. So I might take a War Sphinx in that one. And then the Great Keith's got another 5-game tournament this weekend. Anyway, I've got another report from this friendly tournament. So we didn't really worry about points. It was just a couple of games on the day at the Combat Company. Anyway, so victory to the Great Keith. Back to the drawing board for the Tomb Kings. But I was impressed with the War Sphinx. Anyway, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching another Creaky Gamers production. We hope it wasn't too bad.